I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for real. We did it. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Can I see? There. Is that it? There. You people did this. Just like a time machine. It looks pretty good for shaving in a screen. Guys, I know what I'm doing. I know how to handle my beard. Oh my god. My chin immediately is colder. I feel the air on my chin. I have to present like this? You're right, I do. I do have to present. I do. I'll be back. While we're doing this, let me explain a little bit. So, for a hot minute, it's been like a running joke on this channel that one time I did a stream with Bridge Shala where we rated archaeological sites, right? We did a rating of different archaeological sites around the world, and we basically said which ones are like, you know, good and which ones are not as good, and you know, we kind of rated them and put them on a tier list, right? It was I put Cahokia Mounds on A tier, like the highest end of A tier. Cahokia Mounds, for those of you who don't know, is the largest Native American archaeological site in North America. It was basically a city. It was basically like a Native American city at the area. And a lot of my, all of my Midwestern friends and my wife went a little bit feral because my wife grew up right near there. They all live right near there. So the question was, am I a scumbag? And the answer was apparently yes. So after a charity event that we did like a year ago, it was legally decided that I have to stop referring to Cahokia Mounds as an A tier site, and I legally have to refer to it as an S tier site. So in honor of that, we are going to be doing, for today's Archaeology Brenner stream, it's a little early for the Brenner part, but we're going to be doing the Archaeology Brenner stream now. In honor of that, I am going to be presenting a PowerPoint presentation to all of you today. I am going to be teaching you a little bit about archaeology, specifically the archaeology of Cahokia Mounds. And we're going to be doing this in the context of like a PowerPoint presentation using 80s projector screen. Let me get it. It's been a while. It's been a while since we used 80s projector screen, so I'm excited about this. How's this work? Hold on. Got it. I got it. Okay. Let's see. Jesus. Dude, 80s projector is terrible. It's not... It's okay, it's pseudo-legible. I'll pull it a little closer. I'll see what we can do in terms of the focusing. Why Cahokia is S tier and not because we... Alright, I'm gonna have to put this on the other screen. I can't read a single word it says. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our presentation today of why Cahokia is S tier, and not because we donated to get you to admit it. Presented by RuneMeisterKris. Presented by RuneMeisterKris by Mrs. Gunner, Jedi Bubbles, and Amelia with the help of an actual 8th grade teacher, some of our mods and frequent chatters. So, here we go, guys. This presentation that I am absolutely doing of my own free will. First of all, guys, you need to understand that Cahokia is the largest state-level society in pre-Columbia, North America, north of Mexico. What that means is, before pre-Columbia, before Europeans came to America and began to kind of change how things were going on in this part of the world, Cahokia Mounds are representative of the Cahokian Society, which is one of the largest conglomerations of Native American folks in North America, north of Mexico, basically, because Mexico had Aztecs and I mean, there's a kind of like Central America and Mesoamerica and that sort of thing, but basically in the U.S. and Canada is what we're getting at here. It was one of the biggest collections of all of them, which is a pretty impressive feat. Dang, you guys did actual research. You guys did it. I'm so proud of you guys. Look at this. This is great. Here we go, guys. Here's basically a showing you what sort of stuff we're looking at in terms of the Cahokian Society, right? You can see that little square up in the top left corner. That's showing you where Cahokia Mounds itself is relatively located. It's in Illinois, like right next to St. Louis. And the Cahokia was a part of what's called the Mississippian culture, and the Mississippi Native American prehistory is split into different types of culture. God, what do you have coming if you're saying that this is going to be that bad? Because you've already got two things that were facts. You've got a real fact, and you have an actual figure that was probably made by a real historian. You can't see under my face. There's also Canteen Creek down there. But they're kind of showing all this stuff. This is kind of like the layout of Cahokia down here at the bottom. It's like a chunk of it. The Woodhenge. Well, I'm sure we'll see the rest of this in a little bit. It was really big. They're right. It was really big. They traded all over the modern United States. Also true. Well, maybe not entirely over the modern United States, but they traded over large swaths of modern United States, for sure. It's like really big. It's really big. It's true. This is a large area. This is very large. This the creek that kind of runs through here. This area. Oh, you can't see it on my. You can't see my mouse on my screen. Let me. Oh wait. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I get a laser pointer. So we have here the major elements of Cahokia Mounds. We have Monk's Mound, which is the largest kind of man-made structure in North America at this time period. We've got the various different plazas and everything that were coming around here. And we've got a Woodhenge, which is speculated to be a kind of a useful tool for pointing out when solstices and all of that sort of stuff were going to be happening. Now, a little known fact, I worked at Cahokia Mounds. When I got out of my graduate school program, I came back to the United States, and I spent a summer working here at Cahokia Mounds. And I worked, assuming that the modern road is right here, I worked on one of these guys back here, which was a workshop, like a workshop kind of place. So that's pretty cool. There were also mounds all the way in St. Louis. This is true. The mounds that were in St. Louis were actually torn down to make room for the World's Fair that happened in the parks in St. Louis. So it was not the best case scenario there, but it was, hey, it was something. The mounds were really impressive. Here's one of the big mounds mid deconstruction. I haven't seen this picture before. It hurts my soul. It hurts my soul. I don't know why they were deconstructing it. Like I said, it was most likely a result of trying to get the World's Fair and everything organized. Yeah, the 1904 World's Fair. This is heartbreaking, but it is what it is. Big Mound Memorial and Stan Musial Bridge. It says here, this boulder stands near the site of the Great Indian Mound, leveled about 1870, which gave to the city of St. Louis the name Mound City. That's right, St. Louis did used to be called Mound City. So, coming back down here for a second while we go through this. Number 2. Cahokians were very technologically advanced. For prehistoric cultures in America at that time. In terms of Cahokian technology, at about the year 900, a hardier strain of corn was introduced to the people there, and a period of global warming occurred. The high-yield corn, longer growing seasons, and more abundant summer rains combined to create a reliable annual harvest. The population grew, social classes developed, and work became more specialized. Crafts such as pottery making, flint knapping, textile making, stonework, and shell and copper working were widely practiced. New types of pottery, beautifully dyed cloth, ritual axes, hoes, effigy pipes, shell beads, micro drills, and impressive copper ornaments were produced. Do I need to click this link, or is this just your source? Is this just your source? 500 facts crammed onto one bullet point. You literally just wrote a paragraph. You just wrote an essay paragraph and put it on a single bullet point. What? You had a theme, and the theme was writing this like you were 8th graders. Amelia, you didn't even write this. It's just verbatim from that source. That's just entirely a quote. That's just an entire quote from this source. Oh my god. Well, at least you sourced it, so it's not plagiarism. Good lord. Okay, well, no wonder it sounded so good. All right, Cahokians were so advanced that they knew how to work copper. According to St. Louis Public Radio, Cahokia had the only copper works in North America. Archaeologists believe that Cahokians were exporting their copper works all across the continent. Mound 34 is the copper workshop, and it dates from 1100 to 1200 AD. Mound 34, is that the one that I worked at? That might have been the one I worked at. Anyway, all we have are debris, Kelly said. Kelly who? Are you talking about Dr. John Kelly? If you're talking about Dr. John Kelly, that's the guy I worked with. But you don't actually say, you just, again, I think are just copy pasting. Yes, it is. Yeah, so I worked with this guy. All we have are debris. We know that they were hammering very thin sheets of copper, presumably for the copper plates that were placed on sacred bundles at Mississippian ceremonial sites. Purcell said, who's Purcell? That means all of the religious artifacts and diplomatic artifacts made of copper over a 300-year period of our civilization were made right here in Cahokia Mounds. Now, up here, you guys say, this photo by unknown author is licensed under CC by SA. There is no photo. This is a photo-less slide. Oh, click. Is it on the next page? Oh, there it is. That little guy right there. A little copper artifact up there. Very good. Very good. Nice job, guys. Woodhenge is an early calendar. I'm honestly, you guys are talking about transitions. I'm surprised at how tame the transitions are. I'm surprised at how tame they are. All right. Woodhenge is an early calendar. Like Stonehenge, but wood. Much like Stonehenge, Woodhenge was a way for the ancient Cahokians to tell the seasons. The wood poles helped them find the equinoxes and the solstices. Very good. Very good. That is true. That is true. And actually, fun fact about Woodhenge, there's actually 3 to 5 henges there. Actually, like in current, like it's not all at the same time. They kind of overlap. Over time, they were shifting the location of the henges, and they keep kind of like they keep shifting the position. So the henges are still about the same size, and they're about the same like equalness in terms of the number of poles and stuff that they use. But it kind of shuffled around a little bit as they were changing locations to kind of match up with the changing of the seasons and everything. But like you said, like Stonehenge but wood, it was used to help tell the seasons, and the poles help them find equinoxes and solstices. When you're standing at this middle pole right here, and you look directly east, the equinox sunrise, the sun pops up over the top of Monk's Mound, the main big center mound at Cahokia, and on the top of Monk's Mound is the chieftain's temple, the chieftain's house. And so the idea there was that there might have been a spiritual connection between the rising sun and the chieftain of Cahokia. There might have been some kind of connection within the culture, thinking that there was a synonymousness to that, especially in the context of having this henge here, being able to predict that. But Monk's Mound, I've been there. I also don't know if you guys are saying that you have been there or if I am supposed to be saying that I have been there, but both of them are valid. it's me. It's me. I've been there. This was actually very recently. This was a very recent photo of me, and actually probably this exact clip will probably show up in the YouTube video that I am going to turn this presentation into. So if you're watching this on YouTube, get ready, because you're going to see this guy right like that, or you may have already seen him. I don't know where I'm going to put it in the video, but there you go. Monk's Mound. Whoa! You guys put a GIF? You put a movable photo, a cinematographic experience? Monk's Mound continued. It used to be a lot bigger, but it has since eroded. It's still, today, about 100 feet tall, and it is as wide at the base as the Great Pyramid of Giza. That I didn't know. That's a good one. That's a fun one. Maybe the chief lived there? Probably the chief lived there. Most theories point to the chief being there. At Monk's Mound, they call it like the chieftain's courtyard up at the top. Then some Trappist monks lived there, and that's why it's called Monk's Mound. Oh, those Trappist monks. Those wascally monks. Monk's Mound has 2 terraces. The monks lived on the lower one. Mound 72 and Birdman. Mound 72 and Birdman. Mound 72 is a famous burial mound. There are 25 mass graves within the mound, and there are a total of 272 bodies buried in Mound 72. That's true. A lot of the mounds at Cahokia Mounds are actually mass graves. They were utilized not in the sense that you would think of mass grave as like, oh, something terrible happened and all of these people were put into this mass grave. More so, kind of, it's like an all-in-one cemetery. It's like a lot of people were buried within this mound, and it was done so very respectfully and in a way that's kind of like consistent with their culture. Scudder, have you noticed yet that all of the numbered slides in the background remain a 1 no matter what number you're on? The last one was a 5. Oh, in the background. In the background. That's supposed to change? I will be honest, I wasn't even paying attention to that. I wasn't even paying attention to the 1. But that is really funny. If that is supposed to also be 5, then you guys, I don't know how you goofed it up, but you did it. Archaeologists believe that the closer to Birdman you were buried, the more important you were. My assumption, because you didn't really explain, is that Birdman is supposed to be one of the figures within here. It's that Birdman is one of the burials, which I assume is the one who came with that Birdman, grave goods and everything. So as a result, yeah, the closer you were to the Birdman in the middle, the more important you were, which is an okay assumption to make. Birdman, not this. This. That's right, the Birdman tablet, which is often synonymous with Cahokia Mounds. You see this like some of their logos and everything, and a lot of their promo utilize that image because it's a beautiful piece. It's a beautiful, striking little artistic piece. Birdman is the name archaeologists gave to a man found within Mound 72. He was buried with a lot of things, which shows that he was the top G of Cahokia. He was buried on thousands of beads, laid out in a bird shape, hundreds of arrowheads, and lots of jewelry and copper. Yeah, so I see what you're talking about. They made all of these little beads, these little like disc beads that are pretty indicative of Cahokia. And he is laid out upon like thousands of them. Hundreds of arrowheads, projectile points is the term that we want to use here. Thanks. Let's get a little more technically savvy here, folks. It's called a projectile point, or a PPK. All right. And lots of jewelry and copper. Birdman may have been some kind of priest. It's valid. It's valid. You're 8th graders. Don't say that. People are gonna think you're legit. These are not actual 8th graders. I just want to clarify for everybody watching, these are not actual 8th graders. So the theme was 8th graders doing a project, and I didn't show up to make the presentation. So you told them that you had to be the one, that I had to be the one to present it. Oh, I see. So the 8th grade group made the presentation, and I'm the one in the group that wants to get credit. So I have to give the 8th grade presentation. We are all adults. We are all in our 30s. Yeah, that is what's happening here. Cahokia and birds. There was a lot of bird imagery all over Cahokia. The Birdman tablet shows a bird and human hybrid, which means part bird, part person. Why would you define what what hybrid means, but not like the spiritual meaning behind a bird hybrid, a bird-person hybrid? You're going to explain the meaning of hybrid without explaining the relationship between the bird and the person. All right, some of the copper also showed birds. This one here is kind of more like a manticore. This guy right here is kind of more manticore-y. And we've got this one up here again, which we saw before. And then the bird tablet. You read it on a book. Any questions? Presumably, chat. Anyone have any Any questions? We open the floor. The manticore is not actually Cahokian, it's modern. I was gonna say, that does not look Cahokian at all. That doesn't look Native American in its style. But anyway, yeah, does anyone have any questions? There's still another slide. Well, hold on. We'll get to the other slide in a second. We gotta ask the questions first. Does anyone have any questions? No, we're all good? Okay, no questions. Thank you! And our sources. That's right. How tall is it? 100 feet. We said it was 100 feet tall. We said Cahokia Mounds was or Monk's Mound. Monk's Mound was 100 feet tall. Unless you're saying how tall is it, like the global group of Cahokia, in which case, like the whole area of Cahokia Mounds, in which case it is also about 100 feet tall, because Monk's Mound is the tallest bit. Okay, so here's our sources. Guys, I'm very proud of you for not plagiarizing for this, well, beautifully done presentation. That's right. You did it. You guys really did it this time. That was stellar. That was a beautiful presentation. I 100% and am not saying this just for the memes. I am glad that you gave me that presentation. That is very, very convincing for the argument that Cahokia Mounds is S tier. Very much so. How many feet above sea level? I don't know. We're very proud of the presentation. Good. You guys did good work. You deserve all of the pride there. I just caught a glimpse of myself again with this stupid mustache. It looks so good. It looks so good. Why would I even bother wearing anything else on my face? Maybe I should just keep this full time now. I hope I just get to keep this forever. And I could just force you guys to look at this until I decide to grow out the middle again. Why don't we know more about Cahokia? Here's one reason. One reason why we don't know more about Cahokia is that there was a lot of study and a lot of damage done to Cahokia in the earlier 1900s. So the site that I was working at, which again, I think we discussed it before, was Mound 54, one of those copper workshops. Mound 54, if I'm not mistaken, was actually grabbed by this guy who decided that he was going to build a museum, or that he wanted to contribute to a museum or something. So he took a bulldozer and he drove it 15 feet into the ground. Like literally 15 feet deep. He just bulldozed into the floor, dug a 15-foot hole, and literally just walked through and picked out all the pretty stuff that he thought was great. And he's like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to grab all these things, and then I'm going to sell them to a museum, and I'm going to make a lot of money. And then I'm going to get the museum to name it after me because I am so great at finding them all of this stuff for people to come look at. And it's like, you are a scumbag. But back in that time period, archaeology was a 1%er recreational activity. People did archaeology like they were taking submarine tours of the Titanic. That might be in bad taste, that joke. The fact is, these people were going around, they were literally using dynamite to excavate. They were just dynamite and bulldozers and all of that sort of stuff, and they were just going crazy. The archaeology was not the most good. And that's a big reason why we don't know as much about Cahokia Mounds as we could know, and it's because they did all that. And then again, like Amelia said, they built a highway straight through the middle of it. Well, guys, a beautiful presentation. Thank you, folks, again so much for contributing that. Much appreciated to all you guys. It was a beautiful presentation. I'm honored. I'm honored that I'm going to farm it for content and put it on my YouTube page.